right, let me turn this on. Okay, let's do this. You actually go inside, and that's one of the things. Andre Agassi, you've written a remarkable sports autobiography. It's called Open. Let me ask you about how clear you are, not only about your dislike of tennis for most of your life, but about the exploitative aspect of it. Nick Boller, your own father, how much of that was going on when you were a young player coming up?
Well, you kind of felt like it was a sport that was coming into a big business time, you know. I mean, my father saw a wheelbarrow pushed out in the courts in the finals of the Allen King tournament, which is my hometown, full of silver dollars. And it was like he got drunk with the visual of the sun sparkling on these things. And I just, you know, from that day forward, I was going to be #1 in the world. There's no question about it, because you can make a lot of money on it. And I think a lot of people felt like, you know, a lot of Eastern Europeans, a lot of Russians, you know, they feel like it's the quickest way to the American dream, is to, you know, push their child to be great at it.
Well, and then when he sent you off to the notorious, you call glorified prison of Nick Bollettieri's tennis academy, there all the love is gone. It's just the toughness. That is one of the most harrowing descriptions I've ever seen of what a young athlete went through. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, listen, the toughest part about Nick Bollettieri's straight off was just leaving home and raising yourself, you know, or not raising yourself, raising other teenagers. You know, it was like Lord of the Flies.
You said it was like Lord of the Flies. You were unsupervised in those barracks.
Yeah, we were unsupervised. We had strict rules, and we'd get punished for stepping out of line. But then you got the regiment, and you got the fatigue of 4 hours a day of school and 6 hours a day of tennis. And so school took a back seat, and as a result, you know, you end up, it's a rigged system designed to create great tennis players and unsuccessful, you know, scholars. And so I never had the opportunity to educate myself formally, you know, and yet I love learning. So I always had this other conflict that was existing in me when I was there. I wanted to know the truth. I was trying to understand myself, but had no environment to do that.
In the book you say that when you went off to the Bradenton Academy, I think it was the educational place, that you were treated like you were entitled, but the one thing you were entitled to in education you never got. Right. Then you have compensated after your career, actually while you were still playing, with a remarkable charter school and youth center.
And that was one of the things that started to get me to really love the game. You know, it's not a love-hate relationship with the game, it's a hate-love relationship. The scale started to get balanced when it started to give me something. It gave me my school, it gave me the chance to do it. And then tennis gave me my wife, and after tennis gave me my wife, it was like, okay, now things are really getting balanced. But as far as education goes, I know what it's like not to have it. And I know that I didn't have options in my life, and as a result, I woke up in a life that I found myself in. And I think there's a lot of people out there, especially children in lower income neighborhoods who have a broken school system, who don't have a proper education, and so they will not have choices in their life. So when you don't have choice in your life, tomorrow will look like today. It's a horrifying thought.
Let's talk about one more teammate. You're very brilliant co-writer in this book. Tell listeners how you found him, because it will surprise you.
Yeah, well, in the last 3 months of my career, a friend sent me this book called The Tender Bar, written by J.R. Moehringer. And it was one of the few things that gave me an escape from the pressures and the pain and the anticipation of retirement.
And you phoned him up. You called him, right?
I rationed the pages, and I called him, and I said, I want to meet you. I want you to know what you've done for me. And in what he did for me, I realized the power, the real power that exists in somebody's story. I mean, and I wondered what my story was. I know the stories of my life. What would my story be through a Pulitzer's eyes, through a literary lens? What would it look like? And we set on a journey together where, I tell you what, the greatest thing that I got out of this was not just making sense of my life, but JR as a friend, and a real appreciation and love of just how much power there is in books.
And you wanted his name on the cover, but he wouldn't hear of it.
I wanted his name on the cover because we labored together over this, thousands of hours, and I could never have done. He studied Freud and psychology books, and we go through the routines of trying to figure out, who I was, why I had these contradictions. How can I possibly hate school and love learning? How I can, possibly hate tennis, hate what I do, and actually succeed at it? What is the message in your life? What are people? There's a human story here, and without him, I never could have got to it.
Thanks so much, Andre Agassi.
It was a pleasure.
We have a vending machine.
Hey.
There'll be food down there.
Actually, no, this is
New York Times book review. Great.